Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alicia or April if you're new here. And today I want to talk to you guys about, I don't even know. I just want to talk. No, seriously. I've had a lot of things like on my spirit that I've just been wanting to talk about. So, and I'm in a chatty patty mood, which I haven't been in one lately. So it's like, yay, I feel like talking. Um, so there are a few things that have just kind of been on my spirit as of lately, like things that I feel like God has been helping me to overcome. One of the biggest things has been courage. Courage in this season of my life after having children. After you have children, let me speak for myself. After having my children, I've become a lot more risk adverse. I haven't been one to take a lot of risks because I'm no longer thinking about myself. I'm thinking about me and my family. So everything that I do affects them in some way or another. So I've had to be just very strategic and just very cautious in how I move. And that has been for me a really big transformation because prior to marrying again, prior to me starting my family, I was very much on the go, travel, very spontaneous. Like I lived a very free life and I took a lot of risk. So, and I also wasn't, when you turn 30, your prefrontal cortex starts to develop, your reasoning brain. So you reason a lot, which can also prevent you from taking risk. So I feel like God has just been working with me on taking strategic and calculated risk and being okay with rejection and like dipping my toe in the water and not taking it personally and not internalizing rejection and failures. Because I've had some failures. I've had a lot of failures. But in each failure, I feel as if God has been trying to teach me courage. It wasn't so much about, the achievement. It was about being willing to take the risk and not, just shying away from things that make me uncomfortable, and will promote growth. So last night I was having a conversation and I was just basically, I'm turning 40 and every year for my birthday, I like to do introspective work where I just look at myself, where I've been, how much I've done, where I've come from, just to measure progress. And I'm very hard on myself. I am one of my toughest critics. And at 40, there were a couple things that I wanted to do. I wanted to get a boob job. And I know this sounds very but I wanted to get my boobs done. And I also wanted to travel to Dubai. And none of those things are in the plans, right? I don't see it happening for one reason or another. And I kind of feel like I would have been further along in my career at 40. I feel like I would have been locked in, super successful. And it's like there are a couple little things that there are a couple milestones that I didn't hit, right? And, I've told you guys that in previous videos that, I feel like I'm experiencing a midlife crisis. And I told my husband, I said, well, you know what? I'm just going to ride this thing till the wheels come off, do it for the plot. If I am experiencing a midlife crisis, which is basically, if you want to know for you girls who will be 40 in the next 5 years, First of all, when you turn 35, people already just round you up to 40. Okay, they're like, "Oh, you 40." You're like, "No, I'm 35." So I've been 40 for 5 years now. But once you get past that part, um, basically you realize that you've lived half of your life. You've lived half of your life. And it's like all of the silly nonsense, all of the grudges, and you just do away with them. You're like, you know what? Life is short. It really is. I don't have time. I don't have time to play small anymore. I don't have time to not have difficult conversations anymore. Like, I need to live. I want to live, and I don't want to have many regrets when I die. So you realize that, hey, life is precious, life is short, and I got some things that I want to do. Not only got half of my life to do the rest of the things that I want to do. So it kind of lights a fire up under your butt. Like, and for me, I'm an overachiever. I overachieve. I go hard. I put my all into the things that, I'm drawn to. Even to the point where like I burn myself out because I'm like at it. And I've had to really sit down for a season, and for me, sitting down is difficult. It's difficult because I've learned that there are two types of people in the world. There are huntresses and farmers, and I'm a huntress. I love learning new things and exploring different concepts and learning about different cultures and meeting new people and talking to people. Like, I love that. I love going to stores like thrifting or Ross, where you have to like search through mountains of dresses just to find the dress that, like, there's something about the hunt that is exhilarating to me. And finding out that this is my personality type makes a lot of sense because, my partner is very much like very stable, and he is the perfect container for me because he allows me to, he's my safety net when I do fail, right? I couldn't do any of this if it wasn't for the support of my husband. So that allows me to take more calculated risk. And honestly, I kind of feel bad because it's like when things don't pan out or when my plans fall through, I'm like, I kind of feel like I am maybe like preventing him from taking risks, right? If people are watching you and they're risk adverse and then they see you taking these risks, but you're like failing every time, it may just kind of confirm like, hey, this is why I stay in my lane. But he is the perfect container for me because he is that safety net. He is that farmer. He prioritizes, maintaining the relationships that he currently have and stability and loyalty and, just that safe space. Whereas I will take the risk. And I may fail, and I do it, and I put myself out there, and I look stupid, and I look goofy, and sometimes I even cringe. But I think the overall lesson was to have courage and to take calculated risk, right? So that's something that God has been working with me in this season. The second thing that God has been working with me in this season is planning. I'm a planner through and through. I've always been a planner girl. I love planners, and I love these planners. I've gotten more into using my phone. I'm an elder millennial, so I'm kind of like in between, the two, like this stage and this stage, the digital stage. So I'm putting my appointments in my phone, but I don't trust it. I don't trust it because anything could happen, right? So I like to write my stuff down, black and white, pen and paper, just as a backup. But I'm getting more into planning because I told you guys I was very much you call me on a Thursday, hey girl, let's go to New Orleans. We out by Friday. And in this season of my life, that just does not work. I have more responsibilities. I have 100 different things pulling at me at once, and I just cannot afford to be as spontaneous as I used to be. And that doesn't mean that I don't still have spontaneous moments. Like, we may go get ice cream tonight. That's very spontaneous, right? But as far as me, like, getting up, zipping out, tomorrow to go on a trip, that just doesn't work for my life anymore. And I've had to grow to accept that and learn. So I've had to be more intentional with planning. And either way, you're planning, right? You're either planning or you're planning to fail, but there is a plan in place. And also, I've had to learn that even with my planning, just because I plan stuff out, it doesn't mean that it's gonna work. Life happens when you're planning, like when you're in the thick of it. Okay, you could be like in the center of your career, and now here comes some knucklehead man, your husband, and you're like, no, it's not the right time. Like, I'm in the thick of my career. And it's like life happens when you're busy making plans. So you have to plan, but you have to be adaptable and flexible enough to adapt if something falls through. And, I have grown a lot because, I'll use the story. Valentine's Day, we had reservations. Those reservations for Valentine's Day, and they fell through. And I was disappointed. I'm not gonna lie, I was disappointed because when we got to the restaurant, it was like, hey, we can't hold your reservation. We were late for our reservation. I think we were like 20 minutes late. So I was like, okay. Well, and this is just a shift in perspective. Instead of being upset that we, aren't going to be able to eat at this restaurant for Valentine's Day, it's actually one of our favorite restaurants. Change your perspective. Let it be fun. Okay, now we're on an adventure. It just kind of becomes like, because we don't have a lot of excitement in our lives, right? We are Monday through Friday. We do the same routine. So this was like an adventure. This was, a plot twist. So I started to look at it like that. I shifted my perspective from this concrete, oh, it's got to be this and it's got to be that and this, to just being more open and more flexible and going with the flow in the moment. And this is something that I learned from my husband because he is very chill. And I can be very rigid, no, this is how it's supposed to be. And we ended up after driving around for a little while, we ended up just going to one of our favorite restaurants, lounges downtown that we enjoy thoroughly. And it worked out. But I've had to learn that even when we make plans, things may fall through. You have to adjust. You may be disappointed, but if you shift your perspective, okay, you know what? This didn't work, but okay, it was a plot twist. You guys know I love to write. And one thing about writing stories is there's always this climax or this cataclysm, what they call it, an event in the story that just changes the trajectory of the story, like a hero's journey, right? They start off and their life is all nice and sweet and and then something happens, kind of like the story of Persephone. She's out picking flowers, and then Hades, he's like, oh, she's kind of cute, let me suck her into the underworld while she's literally out there minding her business. It's those events, and it's she will never be the same. That's life. You be minding your business, and then Hades will come and be like, oh, she kind of cute. And now you're in the underworld eating pomegranates. and then you got to stay there. And in order for you to rise back up, so that's life. Everyone will experience that at some point in their lives. It's called the hero's journey. And it's character development. It's to develop your character. How do you handle difficult situations? And I'm not saying that you won't cry. You're gonna have real human emotions, right? Like, I'm not here to tell you that it's gonna be easy. Like, you're going to experience everything that you need to experience in order to refine your character, your weaknesses. You're gonna experience all of that, and it's gonna be ugly. You're gonna be crying snot. Like, that's just, I'm sorry, that's just part of it. But in the end, it always works out. It always works out. So that's the other thing. Just be planning more, but being okay if the plans don't necessarily like work, right? And then I would say, and also planning, this is one thing I wanted to add. Planning really helps with manifestation. So everything that I have was once a thought. Everything that I have was once an idea, a delusional ideal, right? And I've had to have one foot in both worlds. I've had to have one foot in the delulu. And the reason why it's delusional is because it don't make sense. You don't see how it's going to, like, work. It requires miracles. It requires, something beyond just you. So it makes it a bit delusional. But you also have to have one foot in reality, because you can't be too much in the delusional, because you have to take the actions to make it work. So I've had to plan, and when you plan and when you're being delusional, it requires, it's just like writing a book. Anytime I write a book, if it's a city that I've never been to, I only really like to write about cities I've visited, because I can paint that picture better because I've experienced it. Like, I've been in that city. I know if I go to DC, that's M Street. I know how it looks. I know how the shops look. I know how the houses look. Like, I can write a better story. But if I've never been to that city, then it requires research. I have to go, I have to look up the city, I have to see what it looks like. I may watch a few vlogs, because I'm a visual learner. I like to see people. So I may see, like, oh, that's what the city looks like. Oh, they're still wearing coats. Like, just to get a visual aspect of the city. But nothing beats experience. But it's the same thing with manifesting. You have to get detailed, very detailed in what you're asking for. You can ask for a Mercedes, and then life will give you like a 1989 Mercedes, right? Because you weren't specific. It's all in the details. So when I envision my dream car, I'm thinking of the color. I'm thinking of the interior. How does it feel when I push start the button and the engine like revs up, like the vibration of the engine? How does the car smell? Does it have that new car smell that I love? How does the steering wheel feel? The stitching, like, you have to be very detailed in your manifestations. And this is why I recommend, like, going and test driving. And I know that that can be very, like, overwhelming, because you don't have the money. You know you're not wasting people's time, right? Well, that's part of their job too. Part of their job as salespeople is to experience no's. So going into the dealership, sitting in that car, test driving it if you can, or looking at homes and walking into those homes and getting a feel of how you want it to look and the functionality, and do you want an open floor concept or do you want a closed floor concept? All of those things are important. So when you go back to your manifestation journal or your vision board or even just your thoughts and intentions, and when you're meditating, which is very important, you can visualize yourself inside of the car. How does it look? How does it feel? How does it smell? You driving it off the showroom floor. What color bow do you want? The red carpet, like just in great detail. That helps significantly. How much does it cost? Okay, if I finance this, how much is it going to be a month? Like, just getting as much information as you can about the thing that you want, or the trip, the vacation, whatever it is, and just having it. Because what I've noticed in my life, my 40 years on this earth, is even if you don't see a way, you at least have the information. So let's say you don't get your dream car at 40, you may get it at 50, but you've already researched all this information. You already know, you have the information. So when it happens, you're ready to hit the ball running. And this is the same thing that goes with planning trips. Like Disney. I could talk about this. I really have to go. I don't have time. But like Disney. If you've ever been to Disney World, you know that it's not a trip that you can like plan today. I mean, you can, but to really get the full experience of Disney World, first you need a couple days, okay? Because you want to go to Epcot. You want to go to Magic Kingdom. You want to go to the Animal Kingdom. You want to meet the princesses. Like, you know, you want to go to Club 33. Like, you want to do all these things, right? So it just requires planning, and you need days in between to rest and recoup. Like, it's a thing. So I've been getting more into planning, especially since we have such a large family. You know, Mother's Day is coming up. Reservations already done, taken care of. We know Christmas is coming up. Like, those are things to start to think about now. Easter baskets. I've been working on Easter baskets for a while now. That's my type of personality. And if it falls through, it falls through. I'm not so attached to the idea. I'll be disappointed. I'll be sad. And I take that in strides, because I was the one who was bold enough to like dream these crazy dreams, right? So if they don't happen, then I have to be bold enough to take whatever comes with me, not the rejection of it, right? So that's another thing that God has been dealing with me on, is planning, and then the rejection. I watched this TED Talk, and this guy had challenged himself to like be rejected like 100 times just to get over the fear of rejection. And I honestly think that that is such good character development, because you're going to be rejected a lot in this life. And I think once you're rejected enough, or you're rejected from like, I don't know, like think of someone, like the greatest person that you could think of, like you admire, like your favorite celebrity, or your, like the person, like, I don't know, your dream person. Let's say your dream person is like Mariah Carey. And imagine like Mariah Carey rejecting you. Like, you can't go nowhere from that. Like, you've already been rejected by Mariah Carey. Everything else was child's play at this point, right? So I think just setting yourself up to be rejected and learning not to internalize it and take it personal. I'm not saying that you won't, because you will, because you're human, but it will eat you up. It will eat you up, and it will get you caught up in a loop. And I've experienced a lot of rejection in the last couple of years from people. And, you know, it's hurtful, because everybody wants to be in, and, you know, but all of my life I've never been in. I've always been an outlier. Always. So it's not too new for me, but God has still been working on me to just kind of fine-tune not taking it personal and not internalizing a lot of stuff. and just like, okay, bouncing back, right? Okay, bouncing back. So those are the 3 things: courage, planning, adapting to the plan when it fails. Okay, courage, planning, adapting, and then rejection, being rejected. Okay, so go ahead and just set yourself up, and everything else, once you get rejected by, you know, it could be like a beautiful woman. Oh, I know, just do it, and then everything else is child's cake. Like, I approached this beautiful woman. I had the courage to approach her. I had the courage to ask her out. I knew she was going to say no, but I did it anyway. It's profound. It is profound, and it will definitely refine your character, and it will change the way that you move throughout life. Because a lot of my issues was being afraid to take risks, not having the courage to have difficult conversations, not really communicating. I've gotten to the point now where I'm like an over communicator. Just so we're clear. Like, I communicate a lot. And I do that just so we're clear. I don't want miscommunications. I don't want misunderstandings. I don't want conflicts. I want to be able to sit down and resolve them like adults. So this is 40. 40 is pretty cool. Once you realize you have only half of your life to live, you're like, look, I ain't got time for this. I only got about 35 more years on this earth. I've lived half of my life. I'm twice grown. It's pretty cool. So that's just where I've been, you guys. Really quick, I gotta go, but thank you guys so much for sharing your time with me, and I will see you guys later.